You know what I hate most about this base? People who don't belong pretending they do. Captain Marcus Keene stands in the center of the training hangar at Creech Air Force Base, Nevada, arms crossed tight against his chest. Morning sun cuts through the high windows, illuminating dust particles suspended in air that smells of aviation fuel and metal. Around him, 20 soldiers stand in loose formation, some adjusting gear, others checking equipment logs. The hangar echoes with the low hum of ventilation systems and the distant whine of turbines spinning up on the flight line outside. Marcus watches the main door. He has been waiting for this moment since he saw the personnel roster yesterday. A new technician, medical support, a woman with a background so thin it might as well be transparent. The door opens. Saren Aldridge steps into the hangar carrying a metal clipboard. She wears standard issue fatigues, hair pulled back in a regulation bun, no makeup, no jewelry except a plain watch on her left wrist. She keeps her eyes down as she walks, scanning the clipboard as though the paperwork might shield her from the weight of 24 stares. Marcus grins. The expression does not reach his eyes. Well, 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 look what we have here. His voice carries across the hangar floor, sharp and deliberate. Conversations die. Heads turn. Saren stops walking but does not look up. Hey, sweetheart. Marcus takes 3 steps forward, boots striking concrete with measured rhythm. I have a question for you. What is your call sign? Is it Angel Barbie or maybe Coffee Girl? Laughter ripples through the assembled soldiers. Some of them exchange glances, uncertain whether to join in or stay silent. Staff Sergeant Cole Brennan, standing near the supply lockers, lets out a loud bark of amusement. I bet it is clipboard, Cole adds, grinning. That seems about right. More laughter. Serene stands perfectly still, clipboard held in both hands, spine straight. She does not flinch, does not respond. Her breathing remains steady, controlled. 4 counts in, hold 4. 4 counts out, hold 4. The pattern continues without visible effort. Marcus steps closer. He towers over her by at least 6 inches, using the height difference like a weapon. Come on now. Do not be shy. His tone shifts, mocking concern dripping from every syllable. Surely someone as qualified as you has a proper call sign, something that tells us who you are, what you have done, why you are here. Saren finally lifts her head. Her eyes meet his for exactly 1 second before dropping again. I do not have a call sign, sir. Her voice is quiet, calm, almost too calm. Marcus blinks. For a moment, he seems genuinely surprised. Then the grin returns, wider than before. You do not have a call sign. He repeats the words slowly, as though tasting each one. So let me get this straight. You walk into my hangar, onto my base, without a call sign, and you expect me to believe you belong here? He reaches out and plucks the clipboard from her hands. Saren does not resist. Her fingers release the metal frame without hesitation, though her gaze tracks the movement with sharp precision. Marcus flips through the pages, scanning the maintenance logs and equipment checklists. His expression darkens. Who signed off on this? Who gave you clearance to be anywhere near flight operations? Saren remains silent. I asked you a question. Marcus steps even closer, invading her space with deliberate aggression. Who authorized your presence on this base? Colonel Reeves, sir. The answer comes soft but firm. Marcus glances over his shoulder at Lieutenant Hayes, who stands near the gear lockers with arms folded. Hayes shrugs, clearly as confused as Marcus is. Colonel Reeves. Marcus turns the name over in his mouth like something bitter. Interesting, because I do not recall seeing any memo about a new medical technician with clearance for flight ops. Do you, Hayes? No, sir. And yet here you are. Marcus tosses the clipboard onto a nearby workbench with a metallic clang. Standing in my hangar, breathing my air, taking up space that belongs to people who actually earned it. Saren's hands hang at her sides now. Her fingers curl slightly, then release. The motion is barely visible, but Warrant Officer Bailey catches it. He stands near the rear exit, 70 years old with a face carved by decades of sun and stress. Bailey flew medevac missions in 3 different wars. He has seen everything worth seeing and forgotten most of it, but he has not forgotten that particular hand position. Bailey frowns. He tilts his head, studying Saren with renewed focus. Something about the way she stands, the way she breathes, the faint scars visible along the back of her left hand, pale against her skin, like old burn marks. Marcus is still talking. Here is what we are going to do, sweetheart. You are going to prove you belong here. Right now, in front of everyone. He gestures toward a medical kit sitting on a nearby table. The kit is standard issue, olive drab nylon with red cross markings. Beside it sits a tactical dummy used for training trauma response. Show me you know what you are doing. Demonstrate basic field trauma care. If you can do that without embarrassing yourself, maybe I will consider letting you stay. Murmurs ripple through the assembled soldiers. Some of them look uncomfortable now. This is not standard protocol. This is hazing, pure and simple. But no one speaks up. Marcus is a captain. Marines do not question captains, especially not in public. Seren walks to the table without a word. She picks up the medical kit, unzips it, and lays out the contents with economical movements. Gauze, tape, scissors, tourniquets, hemostatic agents. She does not hesitate. Does not check labels or fumble with packaging. Every item finds its place in a precise grid pattern that speaks of muscle memory drilled into bone. She kneels beside the dummy. Her hands move with fluid efficiency, checking for airways, assessing mock injuries, applying pressure to simulated bleeding. She wraps a tourniquet around the dummy's thigh with 3 quick twists, then secures it with a time strip. The entire process takes 90 seconds. When she stands, the kit is repacked, the dummy properly stabilized according to tactical combat casualty care protocols. Marcus stares at her work, his jaw tightens. Not bad. The words come reluctantly. For a technician. He walks a slow circle around the table, hands clasped behind his back. When he reaches the dummy, he nudges it with his boot. The tourniquet holds. Of course, any first-year medical student could do the same thing. This proves nothing. Seren wipes her hands on a cloth she pulled from her pocket. Bailey notices the cloth is folded in a specific way, corner to corner, regulation style. Combat medics fold their gear like that. Civilians do not. Marcus picks up the clipboard again, flipping through pages with exaggerated care. Your file is very thin, Aldridge. Very thin indeed. No listed deployments, no combat experience, no flight hours, just a basic medical certification and a transfer order from some administrative office I have never heard of. He looks up at her. So tell me, what exactly makes you qualified to work around aircraft, around pilots, around people whose lives depend on split-second decisions and years of training? I have the required certifications, sir. Certifications. Marcus laughs, but there is no humor in it. Certifications can be faked. Paperwork can be forged. I have seen it before. The temperature in the hangar seems to drop. Several soldiers shift their weight, uncomfortable with where this is heading. Lieutenant Hayes clears his throat but says nothing. Marcus leans in close enough that Seren could count the lines around his eyes. I think you are hiding something. I think you are not who you say you are, and I am going to find out what you are really doing here. Seren meets his gaze this time. Her eyes are gray, calm as winter sky. She holds the eye contact for 3 seconds, 4, 5. Then she lowers her head in a gesture that could be respect or dismissal, impossible to tell which. If that is all, sir, I need to complete the equipment inventory. Marcus straightens. He waves a hand in dismissal, already turning away. Get out of my sight. Seren walks toward the supply area, clipboard retrieved from the workbench. Behind her, conversations resume in low murmurs. Some of the soldiers watch her go with expressions ranging from pity to curiosity. Cole Brennan makes a comment to the man beside him, something about diversity hires, and both of them laugh. Bailey does not laugh. He watches Seren disappear around a stack of supply crates, and his frown deepens. That cloth. Those hand positions. The way she assessed the dummy without conscious thought, purely on reflex. He has seen that before, a long time ago, in places where helicopters landed under fire and medics worked miracles with hands that never stopped moving. If you think Marcus crossed a line, hit that like button. And if you want to see how Seren responds to this treatment, make sure you are subscribed, because this story is just getting started. Drop a comment telling me what you think Marcus is really afraid of. The next 3 days pass in a haze of small humiliations. Seren arrives early every morning before sunrise and stays late into evening hours when most personnel have returned to barracks or family housing. She completes every assigned task without complaint. Equipment inventories, supply requisitions, cleaning duty in the hangar bays. Work that should take 2 people, she does alone. Marcus watches her constantly. He finds reasons to be wherever she is working, inspecting her progress, pointing out minor flaws that would not matter to anyone else. A cable not coiled exactly right. A label placed half an inch too far left on a storage bin. Dust on a shelf she cleaned yesterday. This is unacceptable, Aldridge. Yes, sir. Do it again. Yes, sir. The pattern repeats until it becomes background noise. Other soldiers begin to avoid her, not out of malice, but self-preservation. Association with Seren means attracting Marcus's attention, and no one wants that. Staff Sergeant Cole Brennan takes it further. He starts a rumor during lunch at the dining facility. Just a casual comment to the Marines sitting at his table, spoken loud enough for nearby tables to hear. I heard she falsified her credentials. Friend of mine in admin says her file does not check out. Missing documentation, gaps in her work history. Whole thing smells wrong. The rumor spreads like fire in dry grass. By the end of the day, half the base has heard some version of it. Seren the imposter. Seren the fake. Seren who does not belong. Lieutenant Hayes hears the rumor and decides to investigate. He is not a bad person, Hayes, just cautious. Security conscious. He has been responsible for flight operations security for 2 years, and in that time he has developed an instinct for things that do not add up. Seren Aldridge does not add up. Hayes accesses personnel records through official channels. He finds exactly what Cole described. A file so sparse it raises immediate questions. No deployment history. No previous duty stations listed beyond a generic administrative assignment. Medical certification issued by a facility Hayes has never heard of. He digs deeper, requests background checks, sends inquiries to the records office. Every query returns the same frustrating response. Information classified, clearance required, access denied. That makes it worse. Classified usually means someone has something to hide. Hayes watches Seren when she does not know anyone is looking. He notices things. The way she pauses when helicopters fly overhead, head tilting as though identifying aircraft by sound alone. The way she navigates the flight line without hesitation, never asking for directions, moving around equipment with the ease of someone who has walked these paths 1,000 times. One afternoon, he catches her in the back office area, standing in front of an old filing cabinet. She has pulled open a drawer and is flipping through folders that should be archived, not accessible. Flight logs from 7 years ago. 8. 9. What are you doing? Seren closes the drawer without rushing. She turns to face Hayes with that same calm expression she always wears. Looking for maintenance records, sir. The current files reference older documentation that I needed to cross-check. Those records are archived. You should have submitted a formal request. Yes, sir, I apologize. Hayes steps into the office, blocking the doorway with his body. Not threatening, just present. Why are you really here, Aldridge? I was assigned here, sir. That is not what I asked. Seren holds his gaze. For a moment, Hayes thinks she might actually answer, might tell him something true. But then she looks away, and the moment passes. I am here to do my job, sir. Nothing more. Hayes does not believe her. He reports the incident to Major Vance, the base operations officer. Vance listens with the weary patience of a man who has heard too many conspiracy theories and found most of them worthless. Let me guess. Hayes thinks we have a spy. I think we have someone whose background does not match her assignment, sir. That is worth investigating. Vance pulls up Seren's file on his computer. He scans it with practiced speed, then sits back in his chair. Her clearance came from Colonel Reeves personally. Are you suggesting the Colonel made a mistake? I am suggesting we do not have enough information to know whether it was a mistake or not. Vance considers this. He is not a paranoid man, but he is not careless either. In the current security climate, even small anomalies deserve attention. Bring her in. Let me talk to her. The summons comes during Seren's lunch break. A private delivers the message. Major Vance wants to see her immediately in his office. No explanation, no context. Seren walks across the base under midday sun. Heat radiates from tarmac and buildings, turning the air into something thick and heavy. She does not hurry, does not show concern, just maintains that same steady pace, hands loose at her sides, breathing controlled. Major Vance's office is located in the operations building. Second floor, corner room with a view of the flight line. Seren knocks once. Come. She enters. Vance sits behind his desk, hands folded on the surface. Lieutenant Hayes stands near the window. arms crossed. The positioning is deliberate, designed to create psychological pressure. "Have a seat, Aldridge." Saren sits in the single chair facing the desk. She keeps her back straight, hands resting on her thighs. Vance studies her for several seconds before speaking. "Your background concerns me." "Yes, sir." "That is all you have to say?" "Yes, sir." "I am not sure what else you would like me to say, sir." Vance leans forward slightly. "I would like you to explain why your personnel file looks like someone took a pair of scissors to it. I would like to know why every attempt to verify your previous assignments hits a classified wall. I would like to understand how someone with your apparent lack of experience ended up assigned to flight operations at this base." Saren does not flinch, does not blink. Her breathing remains perfectly steady. "My file is classified for reasons I am not authorized to discuss, sir. My clearance came from Colonel Reeves. If you have concerns about my assignment, I suggest you direct those concerns to him. I have already contacted the Colonel's office. They confirmed your transfer orders but provided no additional information. That makes me more suspicious, not less." "I understand, sir." "Do you?" Vance's voice sharpens. "Because from where I sit, you look like someone with something to hide, and people with something to hide do not belong around sensitive operations." Saren's fingers tighten slightly against her thighs. It is the first crack in her composure, barely visible. Hayes catches it. So does Vance. "I am not hiding anything that poses a risk to this base, sir. I give you my word." "Your word." Vance leans back in his chair. "Forgive me if I find that less than reassuring given the circumstances." He picks up a pen, taps it against the desk surface 3 times. "Here is what is going to happen. You will continue your duties under observation. Lieutenant Hayes will monitor your activities. Any deviation from assigned tasks, any suspicious behavior will be reported immediately. If I find even one piece of evidence that you are here under false pretenses, you will be removed from this base so fast you will think you flew out on one of those helicopters you keep staring at. Am I clear?" "Yes, sir." Dismissed. Saren stands, nods once, and walks out of the office. The door closes behind her with a soft click. Hayes watches through the window as she crosses the parking lot below, moving with that same unhurried precision. "What do you think, sir?" Vance sets down the pen. "I think she is telling the truth about one thing. She is not here to cause harm, but she is definitely hiding something. Should we push harder? Not yet. Colonel Reeves does not sign transfer orders lightly. If he put her here, he had a reason. Let us give it a few more days and see what shakes loose." Hayes nods, but he does not look satisfied. He keeps watching the window long after Saren disappears from view. That evening, Saren returns to her quarters in the temporary housing unit. The room is small, Spartan. Bed, desk, locker. Nothing personal on the walls or surfaces. She could pack everything she owns in 15 minutes and leave no trace of her presence. She sits on the edge of the bed and opens a small metal box she keeps in her locker. Inside is a photograph. Old, faded. The image shows a military helicopter, blades spinning in blurred motion, hovering low over sand and rock. In the background, mountains rise like broken teeth against a white sky. Afghanistan. 8 years ago. Saren traces one finger along the edge of the photo. Her hand trembles slightly, the first visible sign of emotion since Marcus confronted her in the hangar. She remembers fragments, images without context, the sound of rotors, the smell of smoke, someone screaming, hands covered in blood that might have been hers or someone else's, and a face. A young man, younger than he is now, being pulled onto the aircraft, wounded, terrified, crying. Marcus Keene. She closes the box and returns it to the locker. Her hands are steady again by the time she stands. The next morning brings a new complication. Saren is working in the equipment bay, conducting routine inspections on medical gear, when she hears raised voices near the entrance. She looks up to see Marcus and Cole standing near a stack of supply crates, talking in urgent whispers. They do not notice her. "I am telling you, something is wrong with her." Marcus's voice carries despite his attempt at discretion. "No one has a file that thin without a reason. She is either intelligence, which makes me nervous, or she is hiding something criminal, which makes me more nervous." "So what do you want to do about it?" Cole asks. "I want to know who she really is. I want to know why she is here, and I want to know it before she causes a problem." You think she is dangerous? Marcus hesitates. When he answers, his voice is dropped lower, harder. I think anyone who lies about their identity in a place like this is dangerous, yes. They move away, conversation fading into background noise. Seren stands perfectly still, medical kit forgotten in her hands. Her breathing accelerates slightly, 4 counts in, 4 counts out. She forces the rhythm back under control. Bailey appears around the corner of a supply shelf, moving with surprising quiet for a man his age. He has been listening too. His eyes meet Serene's across the bay. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. Then Bailey walks closer, steps measured and deliberate. He stops 3 feet away, maintaining respectful distance. You know what is interesting? His voice is low, conversational. I flew medevac for 20 years. Iraq, Afghanistan. Half a dozen other places we are not supposed to talk about. I learned to recognize certain things. The way combat medics move, the way pilots breathe, the way people who have been under fire hold themselves. He pauses, studying her face. You hold yourself like someone who has been under fire. A lot of fire. Seren does not respond. Her hands remain steady on the medical kit, but something shifts behind her eyes. Recognition, maybe, or warning. Bailey continues. I also learned to recognize aircraft by sound, rotor pitch, engine harmonics, type of blade configuration. It is like a fingerprint. Every bird sounds different if you know what to listen for. He nods toward the flight line outside where a helicopter is spinning up for departure. That is a Black Hawk, UH-60 Mike model, 4-blade main rotor, turbine engines at specific RPM for takeoff. You knew that before I said anything. I watched your head tilt when it started up. You were identifying it by sound alone. Seren sets down the medical kit very carefully. I worked around aircraft before I came here. I am sure you did. Bailey's expression remains neutral, but there is something knowing in his eyes. Question is, in what capacity? Medical support. Right. Medical support. He nods slowly. That explains the perfect tourniquet application. The combat casualty protocols you demonstrated for Captain Keene without checking a manual, the way you navigate the flight line like you have done it 10,000 times. He takes one step closer. But it does not explain why a medical support technician knows the sound signature of a Black Hawk spinning up for combat departure, or why you were looking at old flight logs from Afghanistan missions, or why you have burn scars on your hands shaped exactly like cockpit fire damage. Seren's jaw tightens. It is the first time Bailey has seen her show anything approaching distress. I do not know what you think you know, warrant officer, but I suggest you keep your theories to yourself. Not theories, observations. Bailey's voice remains gentle despite the words. And I am not your enemy, Aldridge. I am just an old pilot who has seen enough to recognize when someone is carrying weight they should not have to carry alone. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a challenge coin. The coin is worn smooth on the edges, metal dulled by years of handling. He holds it up so Seren can see the insignia. 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, Night Stalkers. I flew with them for 3 years. Best pilots I ever served with. Bravest people I ever met. He flips the coin once, catches it, then extends his hand toward Seren. If you ever want to talk, my door is open. No questions, no judgment, just one old bird to another. Seren stares at the coin. Her hand rises slightly, as though drawn by gravity, then drops back to her side. I cannot accept that. Cannot or will not. Both. Bailey pockets the coin. He nods once, slowly, and turns to leave, but he pauses at the edge of the supply shelf, looking back over his shoulder. Whatever you are running from or whatever you are running toward, just remember something. The truth has a way of coming out, usually when we least expect it. He walks away. Seren watches him go, then returns her attention to the medical kit. Her hands shake as she zips it closed. She takes a deep breath, holds it for 4 counts, releases for 4 counts. The shaking stops. That night, Marcus makes his decision. He cannot shake the feeling that Seren represents a threat. Not necessarily a physical threat, though he has started carrying his service weapon more often than regulation requires. Something subtler, more insidious. She knows something. About him, about the base, about something that matters enough to warrant the classified file and the personal involvement of Colonel Reeves. Marcus has his own secrets, things he does not want examined too closely. Equipment accountability issues from his last deployment. Paperwork that went missing at convenient times. A few judgment calls that would not stand up to intense scrutiny. If Serena's intelligence, if she is here investigating irregularities, she could destroy his career. Everything he has built, all the respect he has earned through years of service, he cannot let that happen. Marcus starts following her. Discreetly at first, then with increasing boldness as his paranoia grows. He tracks her movements around the base, noting everywhere she goes, everyone she talks to. He watches her through windows when she works late in the equipment bay. He checks the sign and logs for restricted areas, looking for her name. On the fourth night, he finds it. Saren signed into the archives building at 2200 hours. The archives building, where old flight records are stored. Records that should not concern a medical technician. Marcus waits until 2300 hours, then walks across the dark base to the archives building. The structure is old, built during the Cold War, concrete and steel with narrow windows set high in the walls. Security is minimal. A card reader at the front door, motion sensors in the main corridor. Marcus uses his access card and enters. The building is silent except for the hum of ventilation. He moves down the main hallway, checking rooms until he finds light showing beneath a door at the far end. He approaches slowly, quietly, places his ear against the door. Inside, he can hear someone moving, paper rustling, a drawer opening and closing. Marcus tests the doorknob. Unlocked. He pushes the door open. Seren stands in front of a filing cabinet, an old folder open in her hands. She looks up as Marcus enters, her face showing surprise for the first time since he met her. "What are you doing here?" Marcus steps into the room and closes the door behind him. His hand rests on the weapon holstered at his hip, though he does not draw it. Saren sets the folder down carefully. "I could ask you the same question, sir. I asked first, and do not call me sir when we are alone. That respectful act does not fool me anymore." He moves closer, circling around to block her path to the door. "You have been sneaking around this base since you arrived, looking at old records, asking questions, acting like someone who is searching for something. So I will ask you one more time, what are you really doing here?" Seren does not answer immediately. Her eyes flick to the door, calculating distance and angles. Marcus catches the look and laughs, though there is no humor in it. "Do not even think about it. Think. You are not leaving this room until you give me answers. I am not required to answer your questions." "Not required?" Marcus's voice rises. "You are on my base, subject to my authority. I have every right to know why you are rifling through classified archives in the middle of the night. These records are not classified. They are archived." Semantics. Marcus takes another step forward. They are less than 6 feet apart now. "You are hiding something, I know it. Everyone knows it. The only question is what?" Seren's breathing changes, still controlled but faster now. 4 counts in, 4 counts out. Marcus notices and smiles. "You are scared. Good. You should be. Because I have had enough of your lies and your silence and your secret file. Tonight you are going to tell me the truth, or I am going to make sure you never work in military aviation again. Captain, I think you should step back. I think you should start talking." He reaches out and grabs her arm, fingers digging into her bicep hard enough to bruise. Seren tries to pull away. Marcus tightens his grip and shoves her backward. She stumbles against the filing cabinet. The metal edge catches her just above the hip, driving air from her lungs. "Who are you working for? Who sent you here?" "No one sent me. I requested this assignment." "Why? Why this base? Why now?" Saren's free hand braces against the filing cabinet. Her eyes meet Marcus's, and for the first time he sees something other than calm in them. Fear, yes, but also calculation, assessment. The look of someone measuring distances and options. "You are making a mistake." Her voice is steady despite everything. "You need to let me go. Right now." "I need to?" Marcus laughs again, and this time there is genuine amusement in it. Bitter and sharp. "You do not get to tell me what I need to do. You are nothing. A fake. A liar with a manufactured file and a secret agenda." He pulls her forward, then slams her back against the cabinet. Her head snaps back, catching the corner of an open drawer. Metal connects with skull in a sound that echoes wrong, too solid, too final. Saren's legs buckle. She slides down the face of the cabinet, leaving a thin smear of blood on the gray metal. Marcus catches her halfway to the floor, suddenly aware that he has crossed a line he did not intend to cross. "Wait, no, I did not mean—" But Seren is not responding. Her eyes are half closed, unfocused. Blood runs from a cut above her temple, matting into her hair, dripping onto the concrete floor. Marcus's mind races. This was supposed to be intimidation, a confrontation. Not this, never this. He lowers Saren to the floor, checking for a pulse. It is there, steady but weak. She is breathing, but unconscious. The head wound is bleeding badly, the way scalp wounds do. Marcus stands, looks around the empty room, filing cabinets, old records. No witnesses, no cameras that he can see. He could call for medical help, should call for medical help. But that would mean explaining why he was here, why she was here, what happened between them. It would mean an investigation. Questions, consequences. Marcus backs toward the door. His hands are shaking. Blood smears his palms where he checked her pulse. "This is your fault," he tells the unconscious woman on the floor. "You should have just answered my questions. You should have told me the truth." He opens the door, checks the hallway. Empty, silent. He steps out, closes the door behind him, and walks quickly toward the exit. Behind him, in the archive room, Saren lies motionless on cold concrete. Blood pools beneath her head, spreading slowly across the gray surface like spilled ink. What happens next will change everything. If you are on the edge of your seat, comment your prediction below. And if you want to see the moment Marcus realizes who he just attacked, make sure you subscribe because part 2 is going to blow your mind. Hit that like button if you think Saren will survive this. The archive room remains silent for 20 minutes, 25, 30. At 32 minutes past midnight, the door opens again. Specialist Torres enters carrying his security patrol checklist. He is young, barely 22, with 3 months on base and a perfect record he intends to maintain. His flashlight sweeps the room in practiced arcs. The beam catches something dark on the floor. Torres steps closer, frowning. Then his flashlight finds Saren. Holy cow! He drops to his knees beside her, training taking over. Check airway. Check breathing. Check circulation. All present but compromised. Head wound still bleeding, though slower now. Possible skull fracture. Definite concussion. Torres keys his radio with shaking hands. Security to operations. I need medical response at the archives building immediately. Female service member down. Head trauma. Unconscious but breathing. Send everyone you have. Now. The response is instant. Questions crackling over the radio. Torres answers them while applying pressure to Saren's wound with his own shirt, torn off and folded into a compress. Within 4 minutes, the building is full of people. Medics with gear, security personnel securing the scene. Major Vance pulled from bed and looking grim. Lieutenant Hayes taking photographs and making notes. Bailey arrives last, drawn by the radio chatter and a sick feeling in his gut. He pushes through the crowd and sees Saren being loaded onto a stretcher. Her face is pale, blood soaking through the compress Torres applied. What happened? Bailey's voice cuts through the noise. We do not know yet, sir. Torres looks young and scared. I found her like this during my patrol. No sign of forced entry, no witnesses. Bailey moves to Saren's side as the medics work. He takes her hand, feeling for a pulse at her wrist. Strong, steady, fighter's pulse. You hang on, he tells her, though she cannot hear him. You hang on and you come back. Because I think you have a story to tell, and people need to hear it. The medics wheel her out to the waiting ambulance. Bailey watches them go, then turns to face Major Vance. Sir, I need to tell you something about Aldridge, something I should have mentioned earlier. Can it wait until morning? No, sir. I do not think it can. They step outside into cool night air. Bailey pulls out his challenge coin, the worn Night Stalker insignia catching light from the security floods. This afternoon I tried to give this to her. She refused it. Said she could not accept it. At the time I thought she was just being polite. But now... He trails off, staring at the coin. Now what? Vance prompts. Now I am wondering if she refused because she already has one, or because she used to have one and lost the right to carry it. Either way, that woman knows things about military aviation that a medical technician should not know, and someone just tried to kill her for it. Vance considers this. His expression hardens. Find out who else was in this building tonight. Check every access log. Pull surveillance footage from the main gate. Someone knows what happened here, and I want to know who it was before sunrise. Yes, sir. Bailey starts to turn away, then stops. Sir, one more thing. If I am right about her, if she is who I think she might be, then whoever hurt her tonight just made the biggest mistake of their life. Because people like her do not stay down. they come back. And when they do, they come back with answers. Vance nods slowly. Then let us make sure she gets the chance to give them. Saren wakes to white ceiling tiles and the antiseptic smell of medical facilities. Pain radiates from the back of her skull, sharp and insistent. She tries to sit up. A hand presses gently on her shoulder. Easy. You need to stay still. Specialist Torres sits in a chair beside the bed, his face creased with worry. Dark circles shadow his eyes. He looks like he has not slept. How long? Saren's voice comes out rough, scraped raw. 14 hours. They kept you sedated while they monitored for brain swelling. You have a concussion, 3 staples in your scalp. You are lucky to be alive. Saren closes her eyes. Memory floods back in fragments. The archive room. Marcus's face twisted with rage. The filing cabinet rushing toward her. Then nothing. What did I say? The question emerges barely above a whisper. Torres hesitates. He glances at the door, then leans closer. You talked in your sleep, while you were under sedation. The nurses thought it was delirium, but... He pulls a small notepad from his pocket. You kept repeating 2 words, over and over. Iron Angel. The room seems to tilt. Saren's breathing accelerates. 4 counts in, 4 counts out. The pattern steadies her, pulls her back from the edge of panic. Iron Angel. Torres watches her face carefully. That name means something to you. It is not a question. Saren turns her head to look at him. The movement sends fresh pain lancing through her skull, but she ignores it. Who else heard? Just me and 1 nurse. I told her it was medication side effects. Random words. She believed me. He pauses. Was I right to do that? Saren studies the young specialist. He has kind eyes, honest eyes, the type of person who joins the military because he genuinely wants to serve, not because he needs something from it. Yes, thank you. Torres nods. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out something wrapped in cloth. When he unfolds the fabric, Saren sees a photograph. Old, creased, the edges worn from handling. I found this in your locker when I grabbed your personal effects. Regulations say I should have logged it with your other belongings, but... He extends the photo toward her. I thought you might want it back privately. Saren takes the photograph with trembling fingers. The image shows a military helicopter silhouetted against harsh Afghan sunlight. Mountains rise in the background, jagged and unforgiving. In the foreground, barely visible through dust and motion blur, a figure is being pulled into the aircraft. Bloodstains visible on torn fatigues. A face contorted in pain and fear. Captain Marcus Keene, 8 years younger, wounded, terrified, alive only because someone flew into hell to pull him out. That is him, is it not? Torres asks softly. The captain. That is Captain Keene. Saren cannot speak. She stares at the photograph as memories crystallize from fog into terrible clarity. The mission briefing. High-value target extraction gone wrong. Ambush in a mountain pass. 3 wounded. Enemy fire from elevated positions. No air support available. Ground team pinned down and bleeding out. She volunteered. Of course she volunteered. Iron Angel always volunteered. The flight through tracer fire. Rounds punching through the fuselage. The crew chief screaming coordinates over the rotor noise. Landing in a space barely wide enough for the skids. Rotor wash kicking up dust so thick she flew on instruments and instinct. And Marcus, barely conscious. Shrapnel wounds across his chest and arms, crying for his mother as they dragged him aboard. She held his hand during the flight back, told him he would be okay, lied through her teeth because that is what you do when someone is dying in your aircraft and truth is too cruel to speak aloud. He lived. They all lived that day, because Iron Angel did not leave people behind. 3 months later, her helicopter exploded during another mission. IED concealed near the landing zone. The blast wave threw her 40 feet. When she woke up 6 days later in a military hospital in Germany, they told her Iron Angel was officially killed in action. The mission had been too sensitive. Too many political complications. Easier to bury the pilot than explain what she had been doing there. They gave her a new name, new records, new life. Told her the memory loss from the blast was a gift, a chance to start over. Except the memories came back. Slowly at first, then faster. And with them came questions. Who betrayed that mission? Who leaked the landing zone coordinates? Who wanted Iron Angel dead badly enough to ensure the official records stayed buried? She came back to find answers, to hunt the betrayal back to its source. And the trail led here, to this base, to equipment discrepancies and falsified records that connected to that Afghan operation 8 years ago. She never expected Marcus to be here, never imagined the man she saved would become the weapon someone used against her. He does not know. Serene's voice breaks on the words. He does not know he tried to kill the person who saved his life. Torres sits back in his chair. He looks older suddenly. War does that, shows you truths that age you beyond your years. Are you going to tell him? Before Serene can answer, alarms shred the quiet. Klaxons wail across the base, the distinctive pattern that means emergency deployment. Through the window, she sees personnel running toward the flight line, vehicles racing past with lights flashing. Torres jumps to his feet and keys his radio. Security 9 to operations. What is happening? The radio crackles. The operations officer sounds stressed, words coming fast. Training exercise went hot. Live fire scenario in the southern desert range. 4 Marines pinned down by accidental ammunition cook-off. Multiple casualties. We need immediate medevac extraction. What is the weather status? Sandstorm rolling in. Wind speed 45 knots gusting to 60. Visibility less than quarter mile and dropping. All aircraft are grounded. Torres looks at Serene. She is already pulling IV lines from her arms, ignoring his protests. You cannot. You have a concussion. You are in no condition. How many wounded? Serene swings her legs off the bed. The room spins violently. She grips the bed rail until the vertigo passes. Ma'am, please. How many wounded, specialist? Torres checks his radio again. 4 confirmed, 2 critical. They have maybe 30 minutes before the storm makes extraction impossible. Serene stands. Her legs shake but hold. She pulls her uniform from the locker beside the bed and starts dressing with mechanical efficiency. Torres watches, torn between duty and something that looks like hope. What are you going to do? Serene pulls on her boots, laces them tight. My job. She walks out of the medical facility into chaos. The flight line throbs with activity. Ground crews scrambling, officers shouting into radios. And in the center of it all, 3 helicopters sitting silent on the tarmac while pilots and commanders argue in tight clusters. Serene approaches the nearest group. Lieutenant Hayes stands with 2 pilots, both shaking their heads. I am not flying in those conditions. That is suicide. We have people dying out there, and we will have dead pilots too if we launch into a level 5 sandstorm. The answer is no. Hayes sees Serene approaching. His expression shifts from frustration to confusion. Aldridge, you should be in medical. I can fly that mission. The words drop into sudden silence. Everyone within earshot turns to stare. Hayes blinks. Excuse me? I said I can fly that mission. I have flown through worse. One of the pilots laughs. It is not a kind sound. You are a medical technician. You do not have flight certification. You do not even have... My call sign is Iron Angel. Serene's voice cuts through the noise like a blade. Tail number 2397, 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, 247 combat missions, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, 147 successful extractions under fire. The laughter dies. The pilot stares at her like she sprouted wings. Hayes finds his voice first. Iron Angel is dead, killed in action 8 years ago. I was declared killed in action. There is a difference. Serene walks past them toward the nearest Black Hawk. Ground crew members stumble back as she approaches. She runs her hand along the fuselage, checking panels and access points with practiced familiarity. 23907 was a Mike model. This is a Lima. Different avionics layout, but same basic airframe. Rotor system is compatible. I can fly this bird. Colonel Reeves appears from the operations building, moving fast despite his age. He reaches the flight line, breathing hard. Stand down. Everyone stand down right now. The activity freezes. Reeves walks straight to Serene. His face is unreadable. Miss Aldridge, or should I say Captain Aldridge, I think we need to have a conversation about your presence on my base. With respect, sir, that conversation can wait. Right now, 4 Marines are bleeding out in the desert, and I am the only pilot here qualified to bring them home. You are medically unfit. You have a concussion. I have flown with worse. Fractured ribs, shrapnel wounds, broken fingers. A concussion is nothing. Reeves studies her, really looks at her for the first time since she arrived. Whatever he sees makes his jaw tighten. If I authorize this, and you crash that helicopter, the fallout will end both our careers. If you do not authorize this, those Marines die. I would rather end my career than live with that." The colonel is silent for 5 long seconds. Then he turns to Hayes. "Get her flight gear, full kit, and pull her personnel file, the real one. I want to know exactly who I am sending into that storm." Hayes runs. Ground crew springs into motion, pulling gear from storage. Seren climbs into the Black Hawk cockpit and begins her pre-flight check. Her hands move across controls and switches with the fluid certainty of 10,000 repetitions. Muscle memory older and deeper than conscious thought. Bailey appears at the crew door. He holds out his challenge coin. "You might want this, for luck." Seren takes the coin, turns it over in her palm. The Night Stalker insignia catches light from the setting sun. "Thank you, warrant officer. Bring them home, Angel. Show these people why legends do not die easy." Hayes returns with flight gear and a file folder. The folder is thick, sealed with classification stamps. He hands the gear to Seren but keeps the folder, flipping through pages with growing disbelief. "This cannot be real. 247 missions, 147 extractions, 3 distinguished flying crosses, 2 Purple Hearts. You should be dead." "I know." Seren pulls on the flight suit. It fits like it was made for her because it was, years ago, in another life. But I am not. And right now, that is all that matters. She climbs fully into the cockpit, straps in, begins the start sequence. The turbines wind up with a rising whine that builds into a roar. Rotor blades begin to turn, slowly at first, then faster. On the edge of the flight line, a crowd has gathered. Word spreads fast on a military base. Iron Angel, the ghost, the legend, flying again. Among the crowd, Captain Marcus Keene stands frozen. He arrived late, drawn by the alarms, expecting to lead the rescue coordination. Instead, he watches a dead woman bring his helicopter to life. His radio crackles. The operations center patches through the emergency frequency from the desert. He can hear the firefight, automatic weapons, explosions, screaming, and then a new voice, calm, professional, transmitted with crystal clarity despite the interference. "All stations, this is Iron Angel. I am inbound to your position. Estimate 30 minutes to wheels down. Hold your perimeter and prepare for dust landing. Acknowledge." The response comes weak and desperate. "Angel? Actual Angel? We thought... They said you were... I am here now. That is all that matters. Hold your line." "I am coming." Marcus keys his radio with shaking hands. "Angel, this is Captain Keene, ground operations lead. You are flying into a level 5 sandstorm. Weather station is reporting 0 visibility and winds exceeding safe flight parameters. Recommend you abort and return to base." Silence on the frequency. Then, "Captain Keene, Marcus Keene, service number 7432198. Wounded in action 16 August, 8 years ago, Helmand Province. Extracted by medevac call sign Iron Angel at 1900 hours local time. Is that correct?" Marcus feels the blood drain from his face. Around him, soldiers are staring. Hayes has gone pale. Even Reeves looks shaken. "How do you... Who... I was the pilot who pulled you out of that mountain pass while you cried for your mother and bled on my deck. I flew through enemy fire to save your life. So when I tell you I can handle a sandstorm, Captain, I suggest you trust my judgment. Iron Angel out." The helicopter lifts off. Dust and debris swirl in the rotor wash. Seren banks hard to the south, pushing the aircraft to maximum speed. The base falls away behind her. Marcus stands motionless, the radio hanging forgotten in his hand. His mind struggles to process what he just heard. The woman he attacked. The woman he left bleeding on a concrete floor. She is the pilot who saved him 8 years ago. She is Iron Angel. He is going to be sick. Bailey appears at his shoulder. "You look like you have seen a ghost, Captain." Marcus cannot form words. Bailey continues, voice hard as iron. "That woman up there, the one flying into a storm that has every other pilot on this base terrified, she is the person you assaulted last night. Security footage shows you entering the archives building at 23:15 hours, exiting at 23:41 hours, alone, 3 minutes before Specialist Torres found her unconscious and bleeding." The world tilts. Marcus grabs Bailey's arm for support. "I did not know. I swear I did not know who she was." "That makes it worse, not better. You attacked a fellow service member based on paranoia and ego. The fact that she happens to be a decorated combat veteran with more courage in her smallest finger than you have shown in your entire career just adds weight to how badly you failed." Hayes steps forward, face grim. "Captain Marcus Keene, you are hereby relieved of duty pending investigation into assault charges. You will surrender your weapon and report to Major Vance immediately. Do not make this harder than it has to be. Marcus unbuckles his service weapon with numb fingers. He hands it to Hayes. Around them, the assembled crowd watches with expressions ranging from shock to satisfaction. His career is over, his reputation destroyed, all because he could not control his fear and insecurity. In the southern desert, Seren flies into hell. The sandstorm hits like a physical wall. Visibility drops to zero. The helicopter shakes violently in the wind shear. Sand scours the windscreen, turning it opaque. She switches to instruments, flying blind, trusting her training and instincts. 4 counts in, 4 counts out, breathing steady despite the chaos. The GPS coordinates guide her toward the trapped Marines. She descends through the storm, feeling for the ground with radar, altimeter, and experience. At 50 feet, she sees muzzle flashes through the swirling sand. The firefight is still active. She keys the radio. Ground team, pop smoke when I give the word. I will land on your position. Have casualties ready for immediate load. Roger, Angel. Standing by. Seren brings the helicopter lower, 30 feet, 20. The landing zone is smaller than she expected, hemmed in by rocks and burning vehicles. She will have to land almost vertically, dropping straight down into a space barely wider than her rotor span. She has done harder. She has landed on rooftops and cliff edges and roads cratered by explosions. This is difficult, not impossible. Pop smoke now. Purple smoke billows up through the sand. She uses it as a visual reference point, adjusting position by inches. The skids touch down. The helicopter settles. Go, go, go! Marines appear from behind cover, carrying wounded on improvised stretchers. They load the casualties with desperate speed while Seren keeps the rotors at full power, ready to lift off the instant everyone is aboard. One of the wounded is barely conscious, blood soaking through field dressings. Another has severe burns. A third clutches a shattered arm. The fourth seems alert but is coughing blood. Internal injuries. The crew chief gives the thumbs up. Everyone is loaded. Seren pulls collective and the helicopter claws its way back into the storm. Rounds ping off the fuselage. Enemy fire tracking them even through the sand. She banks hard, presenting minimal profile, and accelerates. The firefight falls away behind them. Now it is just the storm and the damaged aircraft and 4 men who will die if she cannot get them to medical care within 20 minutes. This is the moment that separates legends from memories. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button. Comment below with the word legend if you think Seren just proved why heroes never truly die. And subscribe because you need to see how this ends. The flight back takes 18 minutes that feel like hours. Every gust of wind threatens to flip the aircraft. Sand clogs the engines, forcing Seren to adjust power constantly. The wounded Marines cry out with each jolt of turbulence, but she holds it together, keeps the bird flying through skill and stubborn refusal to fail. The base appears through the storm like a beacon. She sets down on the flight line with a landing so gentle the skids barely kiss the tarmac. Medical teams swarm the aircraft. They pull the wounded out and rush them toward waiting ambulances. Seren shuts down the engines and sits in the sudden silence, hands still gripping the controls, breathing hard. Bailey opens the crew door. That was some of the finest flying I have ever seen. Welcome back, Angel. Seren removes her helmet. Her hands are shaking now that the adrenaline is fading. She climbs out of the cockpit and her knees buckle. Bailey catches her, supporting her weight. Easy. You just flew a miracle. You are allowed to be human for a minute. Colonel Reeves approaches with Major Vance and Lieutenant Hayes. Behind them, the entire base seems to have turned out to watch. Hundreds of faces, all silent, all staring. Reeves stops in front of Seren and comes to attention. Then, slowly and deliberately, he salutes. Captain Aldridge. On behalf of the United States Air Force and every soul on this base, thank you for your service, then and now. Seren returns the salute. Her arm is steady despite everything. Just doing my job, sir. That was considerably more than just a job. Reeves lowers his hand. We need to discuss your status, your records, the circumstances that brought you here. I understand, sir. But first, I think you deserve to know what you accomplished tonight. Those 4 Marines you pulled out of that storm, one of them is Senator Braxton's son. Another is the nephew of the Secretary of Defense. If they had died, the political fallout would have been catastrophic. You saved lives and possibly prevented an international incident. Seren sways slightly. Bailey tightens his grip on her arm. She needs medical attention, sir. That concussion. I know. Get her to the hospital. We will talk when she has been cleared. Reeves pauses, then adds quietly, and someone find Captain Keene. He needs to see what real courage looks like. They find Marcus in the operations building, sitting alone in a conference room. His face is gray. His hands shake as he stares at nothing. Hayes opens the door. "The colonel wants you on the flight line. Now." Marcus stands on legs that barely support him. He walks out into the Nevada evening where Seren stands surrounded by medical personnel and base command. Their eyes meet across 30 feet of tarmac. She looks exactly as she did in that cockpit 8 years ago, exhausted, bloodied, unbroken. Marcus walks toward her. The crowd parts silently. When he reaches her, he cannot speak, cannot find words adequate to the magnitude of his failure. Seren speaks first. "You asked who I really am. Now you know." "I am sorry." The words are pathetically insufficient. "I am so sorry. I did not know. You did not need to know who I was to treat me with basic human dignity. You did not need to know my history to recognize that I belonged. But you let your fear and insecurity turn you into something you should be ashamed of." Marcus nods. Tears run down his face, unchecked and unashamed. "I attacked the person who saved my life. I almost killed you. Twice." "Yes, you did." Serene's voice remains level, clinical. "And now you have to live with that. I cannot carry that burden for you." She turns to Colonel Reeves. "Sir, regarding Captain Keen's assault, I do not wish to press charges." The statement causes murmurs of surprise. Reeves frowns. "Captain Aldridge, he put you in the hospital. You have every right." "I know my rights, sir. I also know that the real enemy is not Captain Keen. It is the system that allowed him to believe violence was an acceptable response to uncertainty. The culture that taught him to see me as a threat rather than an ally. Those are the things that need to be destroyed, not one man's career." She looks back at Marcus. "You will face consequences, administrative action, counseling, probably demotion. But you will also have the opportunity to learn and grow, to become better. That is more than many people get." Marcus drops to his knees on the tarmac. The gesture is not theatrical. It is genuine. Complete surrender to the weight of his actions. "Thank you. I do not deserve your mercy." "No, you do not. But I am not giving it to you. I am giving it to the version of yourself you might become if you actually do the work to change." Reeves clears his throat. "Captain Keen, you are dismissed. Report to Major Vance for processing. Captain Aldridge, please come with me. We have a substantial amount of paperwork to address." In Reeves's office, with Hayes and Vance present, Seren finally tells the full story. The classified mission in Afghanistan, the betrayal that led to the helicopter explosion, her survival and the decision to declare her killed in action for operational security. The years spent piecing together memories and following the trail of equipment irregularities and falsified records that all traced back to this base. Someone in the supply chain has been covering up theft and fraud for nearly a decade. They used the confusion around my supposed death to bury evidence. When I requested assignment here, I was hoping to identify the source without drawing attention. Captain Keen's paranoia inadvertently helped me narrow the list. Reeves listens to everything. When she finishes, he is quiet for a long time. "This is going to require a formal investigation, multiple agencies, probably congressional oversight given the scope of what you are describing." "I understand, sir." "It is also going to restore your rank and status. You will be officially resurrected in military records, all honors and decorations reinstated, back pay calculated, housing allowances, everything." Seren shakes her head. "I do not want back pay or allowances. I want the people responsible for killing my crew held accountable." "You will have both, non-negotiable." Reeves stands. "You saved 4 lives tonight. You have saved hundreds over your career. The least this country can do is acknowledge your service and compensate you appropriately." Over the next 72 hours, the base transforms. Investigation teams arrive, security protocols tighten, every supply record for the past decade gets audited. 3 officers and 2 civilian contractors are arrested on charges ranging from fraud to conspiracy. The web of corruption is larger than Seren suspected, touching multiple bases and reaching into defense contractor networks. Marcus undergoes formal disciplinary proceedings. He is reduced in rank to lieutenant, assigned mandatory counseling, placed on administrative duty pending completion of sensitivity training. His service record is permanently marked. But he is not discharged, not court-martialed. He gets the chance Seren promised him. Whether he takes it or wastes it is up to him. The base holds a ceremony 2 weeks later. Captain Aldridge stands in dress uniform as Colonel Reeves pins flight wings back on her chest. Bailey presents her with a new challenge coin. The assembled personnel applaud. Afterward, in the quiet of her new quarters, Seren sits at her desk and opens a classified file that arrived via encrypted courier. Inside is a satellite photograph of a crash site in the Sahara. A helicopter downed 6 months ago, no survivors reported. Except the wreckage pattern is wrong. The fuel burn inconsistent. And satellite thermal imaging shows signs of recent human activity near the site. A note accompanies the photo. 3 words typed on plain paper. Tower 4 sends regards. Seren stares at the message for a long time. Tower 4 was her co-pilot on the mission where she supposedly died. Tower 4 was declared killed in action with her. If someone is using his call sign now, it means either he survived or someone knows secrets that should have died with him. She closes the file and walks to the window. Outside, helicopters practice night operations, their lights tracing patterns against the dark sky. Bailey once told her that truth has a way of coming out. He was right, but he did not mention that some truths open doors to darker rooms. Some answers lead only to harder questions. Seren pulls out her phone and dials a number she has not called in 8 years. It rings 4 times before connecting. This is a secure line. Identify yourself. Iron Angel, authentication code 779er Delta. Silence. Then, stand by for verification. She waits. 30 seconds. 60. Then a different voice comes on the line. Older, tired, familiar. We thought you were gone. I was. I came back. And I think I found something you need to see. Send it through the usual channels. We will make contact within 48 hours. The line goes dead. Seren sets down the phone and returns to the window. Outside, the desert wind carries sand across the tarmac. In the distance, storm clouds gather on the horizon. More weather coming. More challenges. More missions. She smiles. Not happiness, just recognition. Justice is not loud. Justice is patient. Justice flies through storms no one else can navigate and lands precisely where it is needed most. The legend of Iron Angel is not over. It is just beginning again.
Every soldier carries a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVB Story for more.